the weekend again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear, tips plus the world's best quiz. The Cubs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
Oh, this is nerve-wracking, isn't it, Benny?
Oh, we're ready for the news. Welcome back to a new podcast this week. We are just trialing out Mr. Paul Van Bellen's idea of a weekly, could be weekly, could be every few days, could be a bi-weekly, whenever we have the news. And we've got a certain amount of news. We'll be coming on the podcast to talk about current happenings within the windsurfing scene. Ooh.
Yeah. I think this was inspired for anyone out there. There's this YouTube channel I follow called Daida Moreno. He's a car enthusiast, and he reviews cars, but every now and then, every week or two, he does a podcast with his mates where he just goes through news and stuff, whatever's going on in the car world. And I thought, yeah, like Ben and I, we often share things, like we go, oh, there's a new sail come out, or did you see that? But we send a message, and by the time a few weeks roll around, we've completely forgotten because there's a million things going on. So we compile bits and pieces into a WhatsApp group. And then we thought once we have 10, 15 items, we can just create a podcast and go through them one by one. And then obviously, hopefully educate or share things that are going on in the windsurf world. I will say one thing. If any of you have any news, something out of the ordinary, or a new product that's come out, if you're a brand, I was thinking maybe join Ben's Windsurfing TV WhatsApp group. Maybe you can tell them how to do it, because we have the podcast WhatsApp group. And how do they join that?
Yeah, basically the easiest way is just to go onto windsurfing.tv, which is the website. And then if you look on the menu, community, you can see the WhatsApp communities all on there. And you can just QR code. It's pretty straightforward. So yeah, that's kind of the easier. I will put the link in the description at the end of this. But like I said, this is kind of an intro. We haven't got a proper name for it yet. So firstly, if you guys have got any good names for it, a name is not that important, I know, but maybe one of you's got a cool name. We're gonna probably change the name over the weeks. And again, some of these topics we will know more information than others. Some of them we are just putting it out there to you guys. Maybe some of you guys know more than us. It's more just to have a little bit of a discussion about some of the stuff that is going on out there in the windsurfing world. We're going to the plan is to have sort of headings and topics coming back. But this first one is literally just the stuff that we've noted in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so please be patient with us because we're just working it out. Without further ado, let's get on to our first story here, Benny, and that's the news of Jordy Vonk, who apparently is taking over TWS shop in Tenerife. Do you know more about this?
Well, yeah, it's more like the test center. It was the official test center. Now a Tenerife Windsurfing Solutions, used to be called the OTC. I think when Tris Best, who is now obviously got the OTC in Weymouth, that's how it kind of first started. And then it's kind of morphed now into TWS for a long time now. Harco, Dutch, windsurfer, businessman, bought it quite a while ago now and has kind of turned it into that thing. They did a lot of the slalom training over there. So Jordy Vonk has spent a lot of years, the last years. I think he actually had a job. I watched the video. He had a job in the TWS when Harco first took it over. And then he's kind of been over there doing the training. He's been running that for a bit. He's obviously had kids in the last couple of years. So he's been over there with the missus. So yeah, it was, and windsurfing at the moment, he's getting older. He needs to secure his future. And from what he said, this is the first stepping stones to taking over. So when I first heard the news, I messaged him, said, because I watched the video and I'd first heard the news, I thought, oh, he's bought the center. He is just the owner. That's it. But when I watched the video, it kind of seemed like it was a bit more of a transferring over. So I think at the moment he's a co-owner still with Harco. And then as time goes on, that will slowly get passed all the way over. So there's kind of like a soft kind of crossover where they're going to be helping each other out. But I think it's a really interesting move. And I think we're going to be seeing more professional windsurfers that we know and we've grown up with getting older and looking for other avenues, because obviously families and money and stuff and more security rather than being, a tour pro, living in a van. They want some more security and a base. So I think it's interesting. You see it with surfing, Kelly Slater's and all these guys go off, and Mick Fannings has a beer company. Okay, in windsurfing it's a little bit smaller than that, but still really interesting.
Yeah, and like I've never been to TWS, but from what I can understand, Benny, or for Tenerife for that matter, but it's basically a hire center. Is that can you actually buy anything there, or is it purely as hire?
I think you can, but it's not necessarily a shop. I think they have something that when it's reached its kind of time in the center, then it goes into a shop to be sold, or it goes back to Holland. I'm not quite sure on the logistics and how they work that out, but essentially what it's meant to be, like I said, it was originally set up as the official test center. So the idea was they had all boards from all the manufacturers, and if you wanted to trial boards, you would go there, and that's exactly how it is now. They've got a lot of different brands. Obviously got Duotone, who Jordy Vonk was the marketing manager for Duotone, so I'm guessing that role he is now left in favor of doing this. I'd have to we're going to get him on a podcast, I should say that. I know we've had a lot of people saying, hey guys, why don't you get more people in? And that is the plan. Monty Spindler, we've been speaking to him, or I spoke to him a while ago. He's super keen. Jordy Vonk. I also spoke to Vincent Lang, who's the new North brand manager. They've got a new project coming out. It might already be launched, but it's around about now it's going to get launched. So we're going to get him on. So we've got a few people, few irons in the fire, but Jordy Vonk is definitely keen to get on. So, some of the stuff now we're just kind of glossing over, and we'll be getting the in-depth stuff. So if you've got any questions for Jordy, get them ready, because he will be coming on the podcast to talk about slalom, the tour going forward, and obviously his involvement now with the TWS Center. But like super cool. You can see they've got some flickers there. They've got some Saverns, Goyas, Duotones. I know they've got some Simmers. There's probably some other brands I've missed, but they've got a lot of different stuff. So if you really want to buy a board, they're a lot of money. So ideally, and we talked about this on the podcast before, what better way than going to a test center on holiday and trialing out all these different boards head to head?
Yeah.
JT, obviously, saying that.
Well done to Jordy. That's a good logical step for his windsurf career.
Yep.
Next story is, the next one we had is the whale. Have you got that ready to go?
The whale. Let's have a look at the whale. I mean, I did actually feature this in Send It Sunday, and it went after I kind of featured it. Not me personally, but as I was featuring it, it went absolutely mental. So I've got so many Instagram stories. It is quite a crazy one. Which, if you didn't see this, you must have been living under a rock. Yeah, that's the problem with Instagram. Here we go.
Whereabouts is this?
So this is in Crissy Fields over in San Francisco, I guess. And it's quite interesting because I saw a few negative comments on this. The non-windsurfing world was almost in uproar. Would you say that? Is that the right word for it? They were like, oh my God, is the whale okay?
Yeah, wouldn't even feel
it. Do you really think he felt that? I mean, it didn't even hit him with the fin. He hit him with the nose. Look.
Yeah.
But when you read the comments, we probably could go through some of the comments, but it is like crazy, some of the comments.
Oh,
Like,
right.
oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah.
And then some windsurfer commented, I think, on something I shared, which is maybe a true point. He says, maybe we shouldn't be pushing this because you know how it is with the people around the world now. They'll be banning windsurfing from beaches because there's whales swimming around and, you know, they don't want to scare off the whales or something.
Yeah.
But look at that big boat in the background.
Look, for anyone listening on Spotify or can't see what we're looking at, it's a windsurfer on a foil. Well, he's barely on the foil, but
he's slowed down. He knows there's something going on, so he's kind of slowed down. He's probably even heading in.
It looks like he's trying to bear up wind a bit, and a whale has come up from under the water, and he's basically slammed into a sizable whale and catapulted over the front. But yeah, look, a whale's not going to feel it. Well, you know, it's not going to do any damage to a whale. It's such thick skin. It's funny. There was a whale that washed up on the shores of Geraldton here. Not quite probably as big as this one, but still like a pretty sizable one. And I got a chance to actually like touch the thing and get a feel. But it's quite interesting. Like when you think of a whale, you just think of this big, fat, blubbery thing that will have a bit of, you know, like as if it's this big piece of fat or something. But when you touch the side of it, it's incredibly firm. It's like, it's so solid. I don't know what to compare it to.
Like a whale.
Well, yeah, but it almost feels like hitting it, like touching a tree, like a soft tree. Like it's just like they're so solid. Like it wouldn't do much.
It kind of did. I mean, so who's got a comment here? I think it's very true. This is kind of what I wanted to mention in every comment that I saw that was kind of negative. More chance of hitting a whale with a boat than a fin. You know, a prop would do more damage, and it's true because they've done studies, and I think a lot of whales have got propeller like scars or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, friggin' hell, a windsurfer hitting a whale is a nothing for me. A nothing.
Yeah. And obviously, when you windsurf, you're not there out trying to hit animals or anything, but you know this thing's going to happen. So, yeah, it was an interesting one. It was also interesting because a few weeks prior or before this, I remember we had a podcast and I was mentioning that when I sail in WA, I'm actually more scared of the whales than the sharks because around here they literally jump like 20 feet in the air. Like they're huge.
Who?
So the whales?
20 feet.
Oh, well, mate, when I say 20 feet, I don't mean like the whole body 20 feet, but like if you measure honestly.
You mean like, from the nose up? Yeah.
Yeah. From the waterline to the top of their nose. Like honestly, I don't know. They jump so high. Like it's crazy. I don't mean the whole body, like 20 feet in between the body and the water, like that.
Have you seen that? You've seen the Polakow video?
They come up like that, huh?
You seen the Polakow video?
Which one?
How high can you jump? Oh, yeah, 50 feet, easy.
20 feet's only, 7 meters? These things they're huge, eh?
That's exactly.
Okay, let's call it 15 feet, all right?
Okay, who thinks a whale can jump 20 feet? But no, I mean that's another story.
Why is my WhatsApp blowing up with your name on it?
Oh well, I thought I'd better share the podcast on the WhatsApp channel, which we were talking about before.
I thought there might be more news. All right, next story on the agenda is there's a new harness. So this is something that we haven't really done a lot of, and that's just sharing information about new equipment that's that comes out. I'd like to do more of this because there's quite a few brands. They're constantly innovating. There's new things coming out, and it'd just be great to share info. So anyway, Goya have come out with a new harness. Actually, when I say a new harness, did they even have a harness before?
Well, I actually saw this harness at the Defi Wind last year.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's taken a while to get it out there, but there was like a sneak peek or something. It's quite interesting harnesses. Yeah, go on. I'd like to hear what you're saying about this harness. Have you seen it? Have you been sent one? Because you are obviously with that Goya t-shirt on affiliated a little bit to. Oh, hello.
Hello. Yeah, what's this?
I genuinely didn't know that. That's quite cool. Are you going for the pink like you started?
No, it's red. It's
Oh, it's
red.
red. Sorry, mate.
I actually wanted the yellow one, but they didn't have it, so I got a red one. But yeah, no, look, it's cool. I actually currently use an MFC harness, which I'm really happy with. This one I'm actually thinking of keeping and using as a prize for the
Hang
wave
on,
rally.
let me. Can we zoom? I want to see more what you've got there. Let's have a look.
Oh yeah, let me see that.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
It looks hard. So it's interesting because I've got, maybe I've got a strange harness preference. What is, like, for anyone out there really interested in the comments, what is your harness preference? Because there are obviously a lot of different harnesses out there. I nearly made a video, we've talked about this before, but on molding your back and understanding different body shapes might need different harnesses. So for me, I've got some opinions on that harness, which I think may be interesting. Have you used it yet?
No, I'm keeping it probably as a prize for the wave rally event that I do. Well, yeah, because I use this MFC harness, which actually is a slightly longer here, and I kind of like that support. And there's nothing wrong with that harness. I mean, look, I could use it, but I've already got a really good one. This is interesting as well. I don't know if I've seen this
Hang
before.
on. So did you buy that harness?
No.
So they sent it you, but I think they want you to use it.
Well, so Cisco, no. So Cisco basically said, oh, look, so the way it works with me is because logistically it's hard to get stuff to Geraldine, I generally pick stuff up from the shop in Perth that's the reseller of Goya. So he basically sent me a message to go, oh, Paul, just go down, when you go down to the shop next, just pick up a harness and we'll credit that shop for the harness.
Okay.
And I said to Cisco, I said, yeah, cool. I said, I might use it as a prize or whatever. You know what I mean? Like he's fine. He's cool with it. Either way, someone's going to end up using it. I might end up using it, but this, what's interesting here is it's got this sort of plasticky flap here. So every time I assume, I haven't used it, but you actually have to slide it. Yeah, slide it in. But I mean, that's something a bit different. It makes it super neat. And then it's just got the, that sort of decline.
I guess it saves the hook flopping around.
Yeah, sure.
So has that got a sliding bar?
You got so the way it works is you buy a harness and then there's two options in the bars, fixed or sliding. So the actual bar so there's the harness and then the bar comes in like a cardboard packaging. Okay. And you basically buy them separately. So you choose your bar, you choose your harness. How much is it? It was in Australian dollars, they were 450 Australian dollars, which is what's that? It's like 270, 280 euros, something like that. Yeah. I mean, harnesses, it always blows me away, the price of harnesses. Like I seem to remember when they were a few $100, but now harnesses are 400-500 Australian. Like what are they in Europe? 250 euros or something?
I'll be honest, I had a shock. I saw one in the shop, 350 euros. I can't remember which one it was, but I remember thinking, bloody hell, that's a lot of money. But yeah, I mean, it is one of the things that it's a bit of a fashion statement, but for a lot of people out there, having the right harness is huge. Now, there's a lot of different body types. I don't want to go too crazy. It's almost like a whole new subject. So the one thing is a moving bar. I know Francisco Goya is absolutely into the moving bar. I know Mr. Colin Whippy Dixon forgot his harness this year, and I had to lend him mine, and he had to adapt it so he had a sliding bar because he said he can't sail without a sliding bar. I'm like, I hate a sliding bar. It's really interesting. Let me know in the comments below if you like a sliding bar, if you don't like a sliding bar, because I really think it's a Marmite thing. Well, there's not people who go, yeah, I don't mind it. It's like, I like it, I hate it. Like for me, I hate it. It winds me up, moving.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same. I like it a bit more locked in for sure.
But I also will say this harness, when I tried it on, and again, this is no negativity, it's just me personal preference. I like a bigger, so that like the way my arse and my back are, I need like a wider spread of the harness. Yeah. So it needs to be quite soft. This is actually more like some of the kite surfing harnesses, a little bit like that X Boom one you had. It's quite hard. It's got like a hard shell, and it's actually quite narrow. Now, some people love this harness. And again, for me, I've really found it with harnesses. I like it or I don't like it. There's not really, yeah, it's all right. I'm usually like one or the other. And I do like a bigger, soggier harness, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Actually, just on this, so, because I said, which one do I actually use? Sorry, bear with me here. I'll show you which one I use because that will give you.
Just while you're doing that, I'm just look at the comments because Boy Van der Veer said, I thought the sliding thing was more kite surfing. It was early windsurfing stuff. People used to love it. Adrian says, I hate the sliding bar. James Crocker says fixed bar all the way for me. Slides are awful. I'm the same again, but I know Mr. Francisco Goya. I remember Josh Stone. He still uses an upside down bar. I always remember watching him growing up. I'm like, what? Does he still use it? I think he might do.
God, okay, that's tricky.
I like it rigid too, says Tanel. The high back. Too heavy for soft stuff, maybe. Sliding bar, didn't get used to it. No, I'm the same. Yeah, so this harness apparently works out as 270 euros.
Yeah, okay, cool. And this is the one I use currently. So the height of it is a bit more than this Goya one, and I've just become used to it. So I basically just use this one.
But that's a hard shell looking at that as well, actually, isn't it?
It is also hard shell. Yeah, it's hard shell, but it's just a little bit higher at the back there. So but anyway, we'll see what happens. So,
just before we go there, Maxim, I swear by the sliding bar from Dakine, even for kiting is. Oh my gosh, Maxim ruining it.
Well, the funny thing is on the website, it says here one dedicated windsurfing harness, all new. So it's not obviously maybe use it for kiting, but it's obviously designed purely for windsurfing.
Yeah, maybe, but it hasn't got a handle on it, I guess.
Yeah,
I should really mention, just because we talked about Jordy Vonk in the video for the TWS Center, I'm watching the video and it's all going well, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like a great move. And then he starts talking about him kiting, Jordy Vonk.
Oh.
Anyway, that was just another thing I noticed from that video.
Yeah, no, well, let's not go there. Available in 5 sizes. There's videos, you can check it out. But
it looks cool. I think I like the design of it. I got to say, I thought it looks pretty cool. Keith Gorman says, as a big guy, I have to use a seat harness. If I use a waist harness, it ends up as a boob harness.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, everyone's got their different things. So,
well, you get it to fit right. Yeah, it makes a big difference. So women, got big hips, so they usually have a smaller harness, which is a bit like this Goya one. I haven't really got big hips. I got a big bum that sticks out the back, so mine needs to be soggy. If it's hard, the harness, it literally sits on my ass and then rides up my body. I know this is like getting into details, but I'll tell you, if you've got a flat arse, you can have a small harness because it stays low. If you've got a big arse sticking out the back, it pushes up your back. I got a big old ass, boys. That's why I need a soft harness.
Obviously, once you buy this harness, then you'll start doing stuff like this as well. So this is one of the side benefits. There's quite a lot of detail here. It's kind of cool. I like the photography. It sort of tells you a bit about it. So anyway, so that is a new product from Goya. So again, if anyone sees anything out there, share it on that group that Ben was mentioning before.
Hang on, I've got an interesting comment here. Boy Van der Veer said, a few months ago, I broke my harness. Decided to buy a seriously expensive harness. Let us know how much that was, because it is interesting. I think some people who haven't bought a harness for a while, more on that in a minute. After that, I have the feeling my sailing has improved. Interesting. Maybe this is because of the money. I'm telling this to myself. It could well be. Sometimes when you spend money, I think golf is a classic example. The more money you spend, you've got to get better. I featured Shred Until It's Dead in Send It Sunday with a guy over in Portugal who has basically had the harness since he started windsurfing. He is still using the same harness. It is literally held together with a few threads. Crazy.
That's cool. All right. Next story is, hopefully you can bring this up, is one that from Ricardo Campello on his Instagram. Okay, are you able to bring that up?
I will try my best, although I need to figure out.
So this is Yeah, this is related to the Maui Pro-Am that just happened. And Ricardo sometimes can't, well, lately hasn't been able to get to events due to not being sponsored. And he created a post just saying that he was sad that he wasn't able to compete. And then also what was interesting about the post is, can you see it there? Oh yeah, sometimes it's hard to find it, isn't it, on the...
Well, yeah, I've got all the posts. I'm just trying to find which one it is. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there we go.
Right. I'll let you bring it up. Yeah, so basically I can, I'll read it out. It says, the Maui Pro-Am will start today, and sadly, I won't be able to compete due to sponsorship situation. I've been looking for a sponsor to make the whole PWA Tour, WWT, but it seems impossible. I don't want to give up just yet, but without financial support, I can't make it happen. Sometimes I honestly feel like giving up, but I have a very personal goal, and to be able to do it, I need to dedicate it full time. Become Wave World Champion at least once. I'll keep fighting and looking for a full sponsor and hopefully be able to make the full tour next year. Good luck, everyone, at the event, and I hope you have good conditions. I'll be watching online. And what's interesting is Galito Estrado also mentioned same situation here, which I thought was interesting because we don't, well, I don't seem to hear much from Galito these days as far as you're seeing him online windsurfing a lot, but it was interesting that he commented there as well. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame because we all love to see Ricardo out there because he brings a lot to the sport, doesn't he?
Well, we have touched on this in the last podcast with the Maui Pro, I think, but I mean, I gave my opinions on it and I can give them again. I think Galito, just let's get that one straight, he switched over to winging.
Yeah,
you know, and
winger.
That definitely hurt him. Obviously, he has been one of the best freestylers in the world, the most world titles, you know, still an absolute ripper. Took down Leonard Neubauer in some of the early rounds and ruined his world title chance last year. So he's still got skills. The problem is, as a freestyle windsurfer, there isn't much money to be made. So for Galito, you know, those kind of the heyday or whatever it is of freestyle windsurfing, unless you're the top dog now, is a hard one, is a really hard one. It can't be your main job unless you're one of the top guys and dedicating your whole life to it, which is Leonard Neubauer, you know, Yentl Cares and these boys. Galito's still got the skills, but are they putting in that effort to get themselves a sponsor? Because, you know, for Ricardo, does he really want to be world champion? I said this again in the podcast. I am not doubting his level. I'm not doubting his skill set, is whatever. What I would say is he is not a young, youthful, ambitious pro, you know, where he doesn't mind living on the floor. He has got standards, and rightly so. You know, he's tried and tested. He knows he can get coverage. He deserves a sponsor in his head, and he's not going to do it unless he gets a sponsor. My question would be is, does he really want it for himself? Because if he does really want it for himself, I am sure he could find the money to get to Maui to compete. Should he have to is a different question. Could he take the whole family? Would it cost a fortune? Yes, it would. And I think those are more the questions, not whether he could get enough money to go scrape it and get into the competition. Again, I'm not speaking from him. I've not spoken to him. He's maybe gotten a different opinion to me on it, but just from the outside looking in, it's expensive to get to Maui. But if your dream is to get another world title and you're getting older and time's running out, he should have been in Maui. You know, it's a 5-star event. By hook or by crook, not saying sell the kid or anything, but, you know, I'm sure he could have slept with friends. You know, he would have had to find the air ticket. It's not cheap, but it's not out of the realms. Whereas not being in Maui already puts him in that. And has he been training? Has he, you know, I see him on this foil board. And again, I'm not having a go at him here. I'm just saying, is he the young, keen pro doing everything? I don't know. You know, he's a family man now. He's got other priorities. And I think we've seen this every year, him asking for a sponsor.
Do you reckon when he's asking for a sponsor, do you think he's asking purely just for someone just to cover the costs? That's all he's asking for?
No, I don't think so. Again, I could be wrong, but by all accounts, I think, you know, the Martin Garrix sponsorship was pretty hefty. Again, I don't know numbers, I don't know nothing, but I don't think Martin Garrix is going to give him 500 euros or a couple of grand. You know, I think he chucked in some cash. I don't know. I have no clue on numbers. But and again, I think he's coming from a point of, I don't want a freebie. I don't want the community to support me, because a lot of people were messaging me about GoFundMe and all this sort of stuff. And when I speak to Ricardo, he's like, no, I don't want to be GoFundMe. I am good enough. I can create value. I want to be sponsored properly. You know, and that was kind of how he sees it. And I think that's fair enough. But my personal point is, if he really wants to be world champion, he needs to be making it to those events and make a case for himself. You know, if he's not there saying he hasn't got the money, you know, a lot of people out there in the world will spend their own money to go to these events because they want to be a world champion, or they want to prove that they've still got it. And again, should he have to do that? That's another question. But in my head, if he really wants it, you got to make it happen yourself. You got to work, you got to earn the money, and show that even you creating the money by working, you're that hungry that you want it. And I think this would be a bigger sort of advert for him than anything else, than, you know, saying, oh, I can't get a sponsor, because he has been saying that for a long time now.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, there's other ways to make money. You know, he's a talented guy. He's got the skills, you know, whether that be clinics, whether it be this, whether it be that. I think there's a lot of other ways to do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Ricardo Campello's sailing. I think it's one of the best out there. I love his aggressiveness. I love his openness in interviews. I love his non-filter. I love everything about it. I want him in a competition. So it's not to do with that, but I think, yeah.
And Galito, because I haven't been following it too much, but he's basically just become a full, like, he's just a winger now. Is he just wings, and is he sponsored, or what's the story there? Do you know?
I think I can't speak too much about this, because a lot of it I'm seeing from the outside, like a lot of you guys at home. But my take on it is, you know, he moved over to winging. He'd been windsurfing a long time. He'd done his bit. He'd won the world titles. He'd invented moves. He'd you know, completed it, hadn't he? He'd completed windsurfing. So I think he just wanted a new challenge. Winging was coming up. There was some money. There was some hype. I think he got some good deals in the early days. And then it was the same thing that happened with kite surfing. So kite surfing, when that came out, if you remember, some of the early windsurfers who were not as good as Galito was at windsurfing, they crossed into kiting, and they were at the top of the pack in kite surfing. You know, they had the jump on everyone. They got some good deals early on, and then the sort of the homegrown kite surfers came with no background in anything. The young kids, the Aaron Hadlows, who were like 12 years old, and Ruben Lentons, and, you know, Kevin Langreys, all these guys came up from kiting and just kiting, and they kind of moved into the kite surfing and overtook it. And that's what I think we've seen in winging. You know, the early adopters of the windsurfers were there. Some of them still are, but a lot of them have been pushed out now by dedicated wingers. And you see that in a lot of new sports. You know, some have the early jump. Again, not to say he's not talented, but that's his timeline, is it?
Yeah, I've just gone on to it. So
there you go. I mean,
there's your answer.
Look at the time. Well, there you go. I mean, that just says it all, doesn't it, really? He also, I think he had some money to do IQ foil, maybe to get to the Olympics. There was some back in there. But you can just see by that timeline, I mean, that kind of shows where his main focus has been, and it hasn't really been windsurfing. So, no. You know, if you're a windsurfing brand, and he has had a few brands, you know, chuck in some cash, chuck in some gear, I think, and maybe, you know, just turning up to a comp, doing your bit, even if you do well, is not quite enough for them, even if their deals are not what he would imagine, because he's grown up like Ricardo with pretty solid deals in the past. So now when a brand kind of pushes to give them a deal what they think is good, maybe still to them it's kind of not as good as they would like, and they don't feel that they're gonna just do everything for windsurfing for that type of deal, which again, that's up to them. And it's the same with any job. There's no point in complaining about money, complain about this. It's like me doing the commentary. Someone says, Ben, we're going to pay you this much money to do this job. You go yes or no. If you say yes, don't moan. If you say yes, you then cannot moan about what you're actually getting paid for the job once you've accepted that those are the conditions. That's how I kind of think about it. And it's the same with windsurfing sponsorship, same with anything in life. Once you accept a deal, that's what you're accepting. That's it. Then get on with it.
All right. Moving along. So during the Maui Pro Am, and I might get in trouble for doing this, but it was on a live
I know,
stream.
just two seconds before we go just any further. I just seen one comment, which I think we should address. Concerning Ricardo, doesn't Ricardo have his own sails? I'm sure they're not really that's not really a positive with some brands. And this is a massive point. I actually missed that. So that's a good point. If you're a sail brand and you've seen Ricardo Campello last year doing the Campello sails, it's hard to get involved, isn't it? You're like, if he's developing his own sails, are you going to give him sales? What do you think?
Yeah, probably not.
I'm just saying, it's just an extra thing kind of added in there, and also, brands are looking at younger riders, but we're not going to keep going over it. They're looking for people who are going to carry the brand forward and be passionate and be energized and going to do stuff for cheap, basically, when you get Ricardo, you're paying top dollar, but you know what you're getting. But, he is at that latter stage. You guarantee certain things, but you lose that keenness of a young, up-and-coming, pro.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky with that one, but let's hope we don't see the last of Ricardo at events.
100%. We want to see him.
He brings a lot. So, no other comments. We'll move along. There's one more comment here, actually. Ricardo focusing that much on competing when he really shines in heavy conditions eludes me a little. I reckon he could do better chasing sessions like Nathan Florence or Traversa, maybe.
Totally love to see that. I would love it. But there is something about that. And I think we touched on this on the last podcast, but we are seeing a shift. And I think that Nathan Florence, there's probably other people that have done it, but he's kind of really made it his own, where it is we saw it with the Patrick team, which is what we were talking about, where they do these strike missions. And I think we will see this. I said it last time. I think we're going to see more of these type of angles where the forecast is good. You get the camera guys, you go, you perform, you already have a lot of stuff in the bag. Competitions are great. I love competitions. I'm a commentator. I do love the time pressure and all this stuff that comes into it, which isn't as simple as free ride, sailing, mastering the conditions you've got. But I think we will see more strike missions. And I think it would be great. Like, who was the comment said by? By Benno said, strike me. I think that would be pretty cool.
It will be cool. Obviously, it's hard to compare windsurfing with surfing because surfing has such a large audience, because there's so many people doing it. But as you said, I think it's obviously engaging. People love a story. A lot of those videos, Nathan Florence and that type, it's or Traversa for that matter. It's like a story thing. You sort of following something. So it's this is a interesting take. Share Waves TV. Ricardo's time is over. He was the hot shot in the prime time of freestyle, but he burned so much soil that nobody wants to sponsor him anymore. He obviously had a reputation. Ricardo, he's a fired up individual, but Well,
it does beg the question. Again, this is not our opinion. he has been asking for a sponsor for a long time and can't seem to get one. So there has to be something there. Either he wants too much for what they're willing to pay. He's obviously got a price, and the brands obviously think what he's asking for is not worth the price or worth the risk. There obviously is some misalignment in those two things. Again, this is not my opinion. This is just fact. If you're always looking for that sponsor, what is the downside? And it is probably the budget or the amount of gear. Like, I think people have to realize at home, he's not just wanting a couple of sales and he's happy. He obviously wants budget, you know, and obviously the line of where the budget is coming in at and what he wants are not on the same page.
Yeah, I dare say that would be a huge part of what's going on. I mean, as we all know, the windsurf brands are not flush with cash to sponsor people, and Ricardo probably, you know, they're not matching. That would be my best guess at the current time. You know,
I know we've got this next thing, which is meant to be at the end, but it kind of goes with the Ricardo sponsorship thing. Should we cover other sponsorship news?
Sure. Oh, you mean jump through? We've got something else on this list, have we?
Well, we have. We've got Miss Daida Moreno, who is obviously another past world champion. Ricardo was freestyle world champion. You know, she is at the latter end of her career, even though she's still winning Pozo, and you know, she's still got the skills. She's been sponsored by Bruges Sails boards. We've already seen Alessio Stilrich move from Bruges over to Patrick. So there's something going on at Bruges, because we've also seen Daida Moreno this morning. The news came out that she is signing for... Anyone to make a guess in the comments? Have you seen the news? I'll let you have a little guess before I spoil the party, so to speak. But have a little guess who you think she's signed for. This is not a sponsored podcast. I'm gonna tell you.
Are you bringing it up, by the way?
I am bringing it up. I'm just trying to talk and find
it. We've got one guess, Patrick.
Who do you think it's going to be?
Oh,
who do you think it's going to be?
It's Nash.
There's a bit of a build-up to this. I got to be honest, I didn't even know. I skipped past the video, and then the brand sent it me. I was like, oh, because there was a bit of a build-up. Look at it. It's like, oh, did you see the logo? Did you see the board?
There it
Patrick
is.
Gunn, people are saying. It is not. She is joining the Goya family. Another one. This is like a Goya-sponsored podcast. Yeah. So a lot of people not guessing. Goya, people coming in with Goya now. But yeah, she's signed for Goya. So boards and sales by the looks of it. Again, very interested to hear what deal she's gone for. It could be just a bit of kit, because obviously she's now, heavily into a physio. She's not doing the full tour, but she's still an absolute sender, an absolute ripper. You turn up to Pozo, she is making a lot of the guys look like, amateurs. She really is an absolute ripper still. She's the same age as me, so 1978 born. But she is still able to throw it down. 100%.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's actually great to see that she's still passionate about the sport as well, because you do see people come and go, as life goes on, or they get busy with things. But she's still very much into it, which is super cool.
Well, what do you think of Goya sending? I would say, I've noticed anyway, Goya have basically been signing up all the sort of legacy riders. Have you noticed that?
Except me.
No, but it's kind of like it's obviously a conscious move that the big one signing Polakow.
Yeah,
I mean, Polakow, for the young people who don't know, they just know boards as JP boards. But for the OGs or the old school like us, JP was Jason Polakow boards, Jason Polakow Australia boards. And then over time, it's kind of morphed into JP, which, I think the newer guys to the windsurfing world would not know it's Jason Polakow. They would just see it as an initial.
It's so weird to me that growing up in the generation I did, how a windsurfer wouldn't know that. I know you're probably 100% right, but if anyone ever says that, I'm always like, how could you not know that? Like, to me, it's almost like not knowing Robbie Nash or something.
Okay, can we put it in the comments? Does anyone listen to this podcast? I have a feeling it's all you old school people looking at this podcast anyway, so you will all know. But is anyone honest enough or new enough to windsurfing to put in the comments, did you know JP stood for Jason Polakow Boards? Jason Polakow Australia. Well, if you didn't, just be honest, because it is... I think for the old school, it's obviously impossible not to know that. But I think if you're new to windsurfing in the last 5 years or even maybe 10 years, it would not surprise me. Like, I have put that question out there before, and I had a few comments saying I didn't know. I thought it was just JP.
Yeah, that's interesting. While people are putting the comments in, we'll move on to the next story because this segues in. So we're was watching the Maui Pro-Am, and in between heats and ads were coming up, and an ad came up for a Goya, Quatro, and I got a sneak peek of some boards, and I took some screenshots of it. Like I said before, I might be getting in trouble for this, but it was actually broadcast on the.
It was an advert. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm assuming it's public knowledge now. I'll just upload a few photos. So this was the first one. So this was obviously the ad had a few different shots. This was a new board from Quatro. It was just saying it's yellow here. I'll just move that one. Bring another one up. Super exciting. Where are we?
You sound it.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, because I'm still trying to work this out. Here we go. This is a bit more exciting. So look, here we go. Is a new board. It's got Polakow's name on the Quatro 89. So I thought this was exciting. Obviously, there's a new product coming, a Polakow branded or whatever Quatro board. It looks like a thruster. Let's see what else is there. So we've got that picture. Then there was another one here. Where are we? Yeah, so that shows you the outline. Also, you can see that it's got the wings on there.
The old famous strapper.
Yeah,
strapper
I mean,
wings.
look, anyone from our generation above, will be pretty happy to see the wings coming back, I reckon. So that was interesting. I just saw this on the.
You not got a different picture, because I saw a picture of Keith de Boer, obviously one of the masters, the legends of the sport, actually won the Masters, and he is basically giving credibility to the Masters category now. I think the Masters category is going up. I'll not more on that in a bit, but yeah, there's the wings, and Keith de Boer was actually riding this, I think, in the final, or at least the graphics of this Polakow board. It'd be interesting to know if it was actually the production board. So Polakow now, going back to our previous comment, was JP, is JP Australia. There is a few comments here. Tannel says, I had my first JP board having no idea about Jason. Took another 5 years to learn.
Wow, okay.
Someone said, yes, I'm 23 and I already knew. Didn't know. Restarted windsurfing 4 years ago after 40 years, Mike says. So there's definitely a few guys who didn't know. What he says, he thought it was Jason Pryor.
Yeah, he's mucking around. I know.
But most like Wade, Max, Jonathan, obviously, most obviously knew it was JP. But I can imagine if you weren't in that bit, JP now just seems like JP. So interesting that Quatro now have the official Polakow board. Yeah,
and obviously it's also funny that JP or Polakow doesn't actually ride JP anymore, which is also slightly comical.
No, but this is what I mean. So now Quatro have the official Polakow board. My next question will be, is that a pull for the younger generation now?
Oh.
Like, should there be an Antoine Martin board, or is Polakow still that name? Because again, for me, yes, he is, but I'm old. I still,
Well,
class Polakow as one of the fucking absolute legends, and he will always be a legend. But nowadays, in this current, young crop coming up, are the young kids, the 14, 15, 16, maybe older, going, ooh, a Polakow waveboard? Or are they like, who? Again, it's hard for me to say that without laughing, because to me, you can't say Polakow who. But if you're a young kid, I've seen some videos recently of stuff that I'm like, of course, they have got no clue who these people are. They got no clue Tony Hawk is, in skating. It sounds daft. It sounds really daft, but it really is.
It's a good question. It's a good question. It's if anyone in the comments is younger than us, they can give us an answer. I do think it's a good move, though, because there's plenty of wave sailors in their 40s, 50s, 60s and above. As we know, like there is a pretty solid older demographic in windsurfing. So it'll be interesting to see how many will want to buy this board. But it's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to. I don't know. Maybe I'll get my hands on one. I'm not sure, but. Are you
thinking about it? You're thinking about it?
Well,
because I've got just the question for everyone else. Obviously, you have got, a I don't know what it is, a national rider deal with Goya. You get helped out with the discount prices. It's not full sponsorship, but you're getting some good deals. Does that switch over to Quattro? You can take your pick. Are you keen to try some Quattros?
I for sure. I'm pretty sure I can. I haven't actually bought any Quattros yet, but. I'll see. I normally prefer quads, I'll be honest, but this is a thruster. But yeah, the thing is, unfortunately for me, I can't try it until I actually buy one. So I've had to do that a few times. You buy it, okay, this is cool, it's not so cool, I don't like it as much, so I sort of churn through a few things. But yeah, look, it would be cool. I mean, it'd be good to try. I'd like to have a more dedicated down the line wave board. So I'm assuming that this board is designed. I mean, it'd be crazy to think that they're putting Polakow wings on, and this is not supposed to be a fairly dedicated wave board. That I assume.
Have you read any of the bump on it? Because obviously they've got the pyramid, which is the pyramid. I always remember when it first came out, and there was just this line that Levi Siver said, and he was using the production pyramid in the Aloha Classic, and he said it's the best. But I just always remember it sticking, and people I know were like, wow. And a lot of people bought it, and it didn't work that well in Europe. This was a long time ago. The boards changed and whatever. But the pyramid is a very dedicated wave board. So does the Polakow board replace the pyramid, or is it a add-on? Is it like just a legacy board? They don't make as many, or is it special order, or is it like a full-on production board?
Yeah, I don't have the answers because they haven't really officially released a lot of the new product lines, so I'm not exactly sure what's happening there. I don't have the information. They're pretty tight-lipped. I actually spoke to Cisco a few weeks ago about if I can get any information on new products, and he said to me, "Look, we just keep it amongst ourselves because we've learned that even if you tell people that are some sponsors somewhere, will get out, and they want to keep it a bit sort of." They want to release things, but this was advertised on the live stream, so I assume this is a bit of a teaser, I guess, just to start getting a bit of interest. A few comments here. This is Bob Vanderveer. Maybe a bit of a subject, but I knew that JP stands for Jason Polakow, but I always wondered what the origins of his last name is. That's interesting. Did you actually know where the Polakow surname is from? Like what nationality, country, or whatever? Have you ever? Did you ever know
sounds Polish.
Yeah, I did look into it ages ago, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something like that. It was I'm pretty sure some Eastern European thing, I guess. So that is an interesting one. And what else do we have here? Jason Rasmus said Jason changed to Quattro years ago. Now they're bringing the high performance grippy board, which is Jason's style. RC Olsen, you'd love to see a board with Profit. A Benny Profit special. What would that look like, Benny?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I wouldn't have wings. I'd maybe just a set of boobs on it or something. Nah. Oh, but back in the day, they used to have that. I always remember going to like the London Boat Show, and they had these boards called Chicken Rock. I don't know if anyone from the UK remember Chicken Rock, and they used to have like, there was one I remember. There was this just absolute model on the bottom with a good sized pair of jugs. And I thought, as a young kid, that's etched in my memory as the Chicken Rock custom.
All right. Well, we'll move on because that's what
that might link. What might link next to the Meldrum one, maybe.
Oh, okay. We're doing it that way. All right. So
it
Meldrum,
kind of links in, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, that's good. Bring it up. Are you taking responsibility for that one?
No, you are.
No, I am. Sorry. Here we go. Benny and I are still working this out. We're still working it out. So
yeah, just so you know, if you have just tuned in, we are trying to do a new style of podcast. It's a more news-based thing where we go around the internet and we just look at the stuff we've seen in the last week or weeks, and we just pull it up and talk about it. So some will be heavy towards one brand or something, but the next week it might be heavy into another brand. It basically just going to be what is going on the internet. We might miss stuff, so please feel free to let us know if we are missing some big news. But that is the way we're doing it, and I think it's going pretty well. I'm quite actually interested talking about all this stuff that's been happening at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah. No, I think it's working good because, like I said, Benny, we often just we hear things and we don't really address it very well, do we? So next story, Lucas Meldrum, who, if you follow him, know that he's been very much dedicated to duotone stuff. Since
he started windsurfing. Like really,
which
since
is
the very early beginnings, like from a young nipper, he's always been sponsored by, by the
okay. I always thought he did a great job with them. He was always very methodical, presented a very clean, solid image. You know what I mean? Like he's very good at just creating a nice. Strong,
for people who don't know, he's obviously a young British wave sailor. He's come up through the Future Pro system, which was a little initiative started by a super keen windsurfer who owns a thing called the Mailing Room, who chipped him some money to the British tour, and they used that money to kind of fund this coaching of the young up-and-coming future pros, and he has been a product of that. And then he's come through the ranks and he's actually won the British Wave title. He's won Tyree a few times, and he's been trying to push through onto the world tour. He's also a keen video maker and made, a lot. He's got a YouTube channel and doing a lot of stuff. He's not quite broke in on the world scene. And I think he said recently, if I'm not mistaken, that he was kind of like not sure if he was going to push that and going to go more into the kind of shred it sessions and strike missions and more video based projects. He's obviously going to carry on competing, but it isn't going to be his main focus. If I'm wrong on that, Lucas, let me know. But that's kind of what I heard. Still doing the British tour full on. And this was a session in, I think this might have been at Kimmeridge or something on the south coast.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't know, but it's interesting. So, yeah.
No, I was going to say, but he's obviously just signed for North Sails, which is kind of the big move. And then he didn't have a board sponsor, and then just in the last week, he announced he's joining Quatro.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a change for him, and it looks like North Sails are, have a few signings of late, right? So they're sort of trying to ramp up their exposure again.
So interestingly, I think the two brands that he's sponsored by now do seem to be pushing. So if you look at Goya, yes, they're pushing like normal, but I feel they are pushing Quatro a bit more. So Quatro sponsored the Maui Pro Am, the Quatro Maui Pro Am. They have just brought out the Quatro Polakow board. They've just signed Lucas Meldrum. So you kind of think maybe Goya are pushing that Quatro side of it a little more at the moment, which is really, I find, quite interesting. And obviously signs for North Sails. North Sails have just signed Amado Vrieswijk. They've just signed Pierre Mortefon, if I'm not mistaken. I think they bought Phantom. So Phantom was, I'm not sure if it went into receivership or whatever, which was obviously the racing brand. And as far as the rumors are going on the forums and stuff, that North Sails have bought Phantom. And then, obviously, if you've looked at Armada Restrict, Pierre Mortifon recently, they've been using a Phantom-looking sail, not like the North sails we've been seeing the last few years. So North now have this team. Again, if you listen to the beginning of the podcast, we're going to get Vincent Langer on, who's the brand manager, the new brand manager, and ex-World Cup racer and top racer just in his own right, is the new brand manager for North Sails. So he's going to be telling us all about the new project they've got going on, the riders, and what their theory is. So we've got quite a lot of interesting stuff going on.
Okay. Moving on. Next story is going back to the Maui Pro-Am, and this one is related to Pauline Katz. So unfortunately for Pauline, and I'll just bring up this Insta story here, but this is Pauline Katz. She's not on the water, and as you can see, if you're watching, her leg is cast up and she's on crutches. So I'll read out what it says here from Pauline. So because she made it quite far into the event, and then she fell in her heat. She was doing really well. She fell, and then we didn't really know what was happening, and I thought she was just drifted off downwind into Lane's area. But it turns out, and this is her words, I had a bad wipeout on my very first wave of the B final and heard a crack in my knee. I instantly felt the pain and instability. Since I had the same injury back in 2023, also at her keeper, I knew right away what was going on. I had an MRI yesterday. I'm still waiting for more info from the doc and physios. I have multiple damages in my knee, MCL, some complicated turns, other things, but it definitely looks like I'll be out of the water for a few weeks, maybe months. Still can't believe it. It felt so good in the water, well prepared for the season and super motivated, but nothing I can change now. Just have to accept this new challenge. So yeah, commiserations to Pauline. It must be very frustrating as an athlete when you've got to deal with this sort of injury, but that's how it goes sometimes. So.
But what worse than that is she was in my team to get into the final. Threw it away. No, I sent her a message saying absolutely gutted for you because, obviously, like you just said, she had that injury in Maui last time, and just Maui does not seem to be, it's not a happy hunting ground, so to speak. And I thought she was looking good. She's been putting a lot of work in, and I thought she might get into that final. I think if she hadn't have done the knee, I think she would have been in that final. She was looking in good form. Yeah.
And also this is worth mentioning, just moving on, because we don't, like this is the whole point of this, these type of podcasts is to highlight things going on. And I might be wrong here, but it seems to me that Pauline Katz, and there may be other people involved, so apologies, Pauline, if you're listening or anyone else, but she's very much responsible for there's an Instagram page called Girls on Tour Wind, which is obviously, and it says here that it's designed to, it's promoting women's windsurfing events. Like I said, I haven't spoken in depth with Pauline about it, but from my understanding, this is largely her endeavor. And it's kind of interesting. She's got a calendar here from 2026, which is they're basically women's camps. If you want to improve in the waves, I mean, it seems to be mainly to do with waves or freestyle. And she's got a calendar here. So if there's any ladies listening to the podcast, check out Girls on Tour, the Instagram page, and you might want to get involved in one of these camps. They're going, well, it's mainly in the Canary Islands, from what I can see, and also in the Netherlands. So that's cool. It's great to see. I appreciate this type of thing because just, now that I've been doing this event, anyone out there that is doing anything they possibly can to, increase participation, teaching somebody, it's super positive. It's super positive. So well 100%. Done to Pauline. Yeah.
100%. 100%. And now I've got two kids coming up. My little princesses, so we're going to be getting them on the water, and that means their friends are going to be on the water. That's that I can see how that's motivating when you've got a kid. So, in any which way, you've got to find where the motivation is. And obviously, Pauline You know, getting the girls together, it's nothing more motivating than having a group of like-minded people. I see it on the Send It Academy when we do it in Cape Town. You know, everyone's kind of pushing towards similar goals or pushing their own levels, and it just it's infectious. You know, it really pushes you along.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I have to admit, as a guy, you tend to not pay full attention to women-specific things, but I would love to see more. I think we all want to see more women go into sport because it is heavily male-dominated. So it's awesome to see anything that can be done to encourage more women into the sport. So well done to Pauline.
Yeah.
All right, moving along, we've got a story with Liam Dunkerbeck. Have you got that Instagram link handy?
I probably have, because I'm just so on it. I mean, I am on it. Am I on it? Who's on it? I'm on it. I don't know what this story is, but
yeah, I don't know. You put it in the group here, Benny. So something.
I tell you, I probably put it in because I just thought it was pretty epic. Because what I saw was this kind of it goes together with the Graham Ezzy YouTube video. So Graham Ezzy, look at that 360 from Dunkerbeck. So this was just going to be talking about the scoring. So a little bit of just interest from the Maui Pro. I know we've been going on about it. It was quite a big event. It's a big 5-star event, but it was to do with scoring. So Graham Ezzy on his YouTube channel basically rescored the whole final. You know, he is not an official judge, but what is a judge? He's an absolute epic sailor, a good coach, you know, knows what he's looking for. And he basically went through the video on his podcast and rescored it by just explaining why he'd scored something, what he gave it, and rescored the final. Do you think the results were the same, Paul?
Well, I know they weren't because I watched it.
Okay.
I've got a screenshot of it. Do you want me to bring that up? Of what?
Yeah, you can do. I mean, like I said, it was interesting because when he rescored it, he had the same winner. So Bernd Rodiger, who won the Maui 5-star, they had as the winner, and Graham also had him as the winner as well, and Graham giving him a 10 for that last wave. And it was really interesting just to see him dissect the last wave, because we kind of did that a little bit on ours as well. And I would totally agree. You could just understand it really clearly. The biggest difference for Graham's score sheet was Brown finished second in the official competition, but on Graham's one, he was actually joint fourth with Morgan Nareau, and Graham had Antoine Martin as second. And there was some definite bigger differences in the scoring. Obviously, on the main event, it was super close, that second, third, and fourth. So when it is that close, it can go either way. It's kind of easy to understand how it can be. But I thought the judging on a whole was good. I just think more of this type of stuff where people are open and you explain to guys that just watch certain moves of why you're scoring certain things. And I think it would be really interesting for the WWT and the PLA judges to do stuff after the event and maybe go back through heats and explain why things were scored a certain way. Because I think, as Graham said in his YouTube video, you know, when you watch it back, you've already watched it once. You've had time to let the emotion calm down. You've got instant replays. You can look at it different times. You can be more calm. There isn't time pressures and all this sort of stuff. So it does make a big difference. It's not like he's saying, oh, they did it wrong. It was far from it. I think he said they did a good job, but he did, in the end, get a different result.
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. I wasn't sure if I'd give Bernd a 10 for that wave, because 10, I mean, it was pretty cool, but it was interesting that he did give a 10. But yeah, it's the other thing is when we talk about judging, sometimes I feel a bit bad because it's so hard for the judges, isn't it? They got no instant replays. They have to sometimes look at 2 or 3 people on a set at once. It's incredibly hard job, actually. It's really not for the faint-hearted. So it's well.
A good comment just come in, actually, which is quite interesting. DL Windsurf says, be interesting to watch the heat in reverse. Seems to me like moves at the end score more while being compared to the waves at the start of the heat. That is very interesting because it is true. There's emotion, there's this, there's jeopardy. But I will say at the end, you know what you've already done. And you know if you're in front or behind, you know it's last chance saloon. So sometimes you can throw down bigger stuff towards the end of the heat. But I would also agree, emotion and pressure and excitement can also motivate bigger scores as well. So yeah, it's interesting.
That's an interesting take. Very interesting take. All right. Next story. So where are we here? I'll remove this one. Matteo Iachino. Now, how many people can relate to this? Let me just bring up a picture of his foot. How many of you out there have had this happen to you? So for anyone listening, we're looking at a foot, Matteo's foot, and in the center of his foot, he's got a crater, which is scabbing over from where his foot strap has rubbed the flesh away. And then, you want to continue sailing, but the thing never heals because it's always rubbing off the top. I had one of these in my early 20s that lasted a whole season. But I have to admit, I haven't had one since. I think, is this related also, Benny, do you think, to having the foot strap just a bit too tight? I mean, maybe that's from a lot of sailing. They've had a lot of wind in the Canaries, obviously doing a lot of slalom as well. It can be, there's a few things. Like I had a infamous one of these, which lasted for years. And it was when I was learning to flacker. Yeah, it was when I was learning to flacker. And the reason it healed up in the end is a nurse saw it one day and she literally scared the shit out of me by saying, you're going to get your bone infected and then you're going to lose your foot, because it was so bad and so deep. And I was just pushing through it. And then I ended up doing my Liz Frank, and then I had 3, 4, 5 months or whatever it was off. And that was the only chance it actually healed. But it keeps going and going till the middle and then undoing. Anyway, I was putting duct tape, everything. But how I did it was I basically just scraped, like literally just scraped the top of my non-slip with the top of my foot. So it was just a nothing. It was just like a nothing little like scuff. But because then I was in the foot straps and I was doing freestyle, it just wears down. Then it starts to heal itself. So it goes all gooey. The next time you go sailing, that goo leaves the hole. And again, it just keeps going into itself. So it's like a vicious circle. It never gets better. And that can be caused by bad, old foot straps, not having comfy, new, nice foot straps, sand. But usually it's from another little knock, which then just keeps getting rubbed by the foot straps, in my experience. But it's a nasty one. So in this story, and this is why I wanted to ask someone, I always remember Andy King from Cornwall, won the Cornish event this year. He used to make these sort of chamois leather little foot protectors, because some people like sailing in boots, some people don't. I don't like sailing in boots. So I never wanted to put boots on. I would always duct tape my foot. The problem is with duct tape, it's very slippy in the foot straps and it also comes off. Whereas he made this little like thing with all the little holes to put your toes in. And then it had a hole for the heel. So you would basically put your foot through the hole for the ankle, and then you'd stretch the leather bit, the chamois leather, over your toes. And the interesting thing is now, Ion, for a few years now, have had a neoprene version of this. And Matteo Iachino was using that to heal up that thing. And I think it's actually quite a cool thing to use if you want to still sail in bare feet, but you want to protect the hole. There we go. Okay. All right.
George says peeing on it helps. Ask your mate to pee on your foot. I'm not sure I'm going to do that, but hang on. George says, my most asked question is why I wear boots. This is why. Freestyle twisting the whole time can cause it, even if it repairs, the skin is always thinner. Yeah, it's Stephen Van Broekhoven famously wears boots. George,
cool. Thanks, George. George has been putting out so much good content, actually.
Bashing
He wasn't
it
on the
out.
list of things. We should have mentioned that, actually. So Ben and I have only just started creating this list in the last week. So anything
gonna get
that
better.
happened before the last week, which is including a lot of videos that George done, unfortunately didn't make the cut because we're just starting with what's going on now. But for anybody out there, check out George Grisley. Grisley is the correct way, right? It's not Grisley, Grisley.
It's Grisley. I did say Grisley, but I think George says someone said it is Grisley.
Yeah. No, I'm very impressed with George's videos and deserves more views and attention because
one thing, just why he's on here, his videos from Vietnam, I think made a lot of people consider Vietnam, because I was like, that looks pretty epic. Apart from the kites, I actually thought, wow, you know, how often have you heard of Vietnam? I mean, I've been to Vietnam, to Moon and whatever, and I'd heard about further up the coast there was these other spots with waves, and I never investigated because I was there for the competition. But seeing those videos, I think if he wasn't paid by some of those centers or got any sort of help from them, there's something wrong, because he did a bloody great job of selling it to me, and I've been to a lot of places in the world, so I'm sure if I was sold, there's a lot of other people.
Yeah. No, it was really impressive. Well done, George, for putting all that content out. We like content. Yeah.
No, sorry, Cal.
No, I was going to say the content is how so much of windsurfing spreads, and you know how we get the message and encourage new people, you know, to do it.
I was thinking of doing a video about, you know, how to stay motivated with windsurfing. We've all been windsurfing a long time. What are the key things to keep yourself motivated? And one of them for me is definitely consuming content, and you know, good content. So obviously I try and make content, but I can't consume my own content. So I'm constantly looking at other people's, which is why, if you haven't got on the website, windsurfing.tv, we're trying to collate all the content together. I wasn't even going to mention that, but genuinely, you know, it really helps. When I go on YouTube, there's loads of other stuff going on. So it's actually, I know it's my website, but I genuinely am missing less videos. It's really quite interesting.
It's working
the
even on yourself.
On the website. Yeah. So get on the website.
Next little interesting story. So as some of you may know, I organize this wave rally event.
Oh, what?
Yeah, have you heard about it? And I thought this was an interesting comment. This is slightly this is a political thing, but it's just
oh god.
No, it's interesting. So I didn't even really think about this, right? We're living in a world right now where, as we all know, all sorts of things are going on, different parts of the world, wars and so forth, and it's sensitive times. But there was an entrant in my wave rally who was Russian. And if you watched the heavyweight final, which Benny commentated, it's got a list of, I think it's 8 or 10 names, and one of them was from Russia. And I got I checked the comments on YouTube. I thought this was interesting. So the comment is the name is a bit long, but it says, why Russian participate in wave rally? So I wrote, wave rally lets any nationality enter. And then he says, even an occupier and a murderer nationality. And I've written, wave rally doesn't get involved in geopolitics. If the person is peaceful and wishes to get involved in a windsurfing event, they are welcome. And then he continues on, I wonder what you would say to my friend in Ukraine who lost 4 years because of the war caused by Russia, now the 5th year of the war. And then I commented, you can't blame every person from Russia on this war. This is a decision. Ilya is not interested or supporting of the war. He just wants to go windsurfing. Now, this is an interesting one. I mean, in sports, I've noticed in other sports that there is a bit of a thing, isn't it? Like whether you let this nationality, that nationality in. I mean, these sort of comments from people related to their nationality and the current world affairs. Do you have anything to add about this? I mean, for where I'm sitting, I'm just like, you take people on face value. If someone wants to come and go windsurfing, they're from Israel, they're from, Iran, they're from Russia, and they're a nice person, and they have no interest in war or trying to hurt anybody or anything like that. I couldn't care less. It's like, you're a good person, you want to windsurf, you're welcome. You know,
I think it's obvious to me. I mean, I understand why people say that, because on an Olympic level, they don't want to promote a country. It's not based on the individuals. But Wave Rally is literally a Russian windsurfer. You know, if Vladimir Putin was there trying to sign up, like, maybe don't let him in. You know, I don't think we'd want Putin on the Wave Rally list. You know, because it is him, really. But if you're just a guy from Russia, again, I haven't got a connection to that side of it. So, I don't like getting involved with this, but I would totally agree with you. For me, each person is an individual person. You know, unless they are actually responsible, I don't think you not letting him in the Wave Rally changes, you know, anything, apart from it just shows us windsurfers are united as windsurfers rather than anything else.
Yeah. No, look, I think and the other thing is, you want to encourage windsurfing as far and wide as possible. Interestingly, a few years ago, I did a bit of digging into Russian windsurfing, and obviously on that North Sea area, I'm not sure if I've got it's probably not the North Sea, whatever the sea is above Russia there. But there's a group of hardcore Russian windsurfers up there. I don't know. Have you seen some of those videos when they have these massive storms? There's
some ridiculous stuff. I mean, we had a Russian guy on the Send It Academy, and he's sending me some of the stuff. And you're like, oh my God, you know, these guys are not on board with the whole war. I mean, this is I just got to say this for Windsurfing TV, you know, obviously with the podcast I do with Paul and whatever, just from my personal opinion, because I've had a lot of people asking me, hey, Ben, why aren't you mentioning about this? Why aren't you mentioning this? Like, just the Windsurfing TV stance on this is Windsurfing TV. If you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about all the other stuff, there's lots of other channels to do that. But what I want, and it's the same when COVID was around, I didn't want to talk about COVID either. It's like, if you want to watch Windsurfing TV, and these videos are going to be on there for years, the last thing you want to do is come to a windsurfing channel and talk about politics. I mean, this is to talk about windsurfing. We know it's going on. We don't all agree with certain things. We've all got different opinions. I get it. Like, I understand that. But for me, this is a channel about windsurfing, and where it can be avoided, I'm not going to get into it. You know, use other channels for that type of stuff. That's kind of my take on it. Again, everyone's got their own opinions, but that's kind of the stance from Windsurfing TV, let's say. And I guess that's the stance from Wave Rally from Paul. It's like, you know, he's got nothing against Ilya, who's a Russian windsurfer. You know, if he starts coming to the beach with all the flags and you know, you start to go, okay, something's a little bit more so than just a windsurfer who happens to be Russian nationality.
Yeah. I think it was just interesting. I didn't really think about it too much because, like I said, you just take people on face value. But anyway, it was an interesting little thing I dealt with this week. So moving on, another interesting little thing I found this week was on Facebook. Can you see that? Yeah. So I have no idea. This is from what I can understand, this is a Facebook/TV program called Tiempos or something like that from Puerto Rico. And if we fast forward, they had, I'll just fast forward. They did a whole segment on Bernd Rodiger, who competed in the Puerto Rican. Let's just see if I can. Can you see that? Yeah, there we go. So there he is in the studio.
Sorry. So go back. Just go back to that initial post. For people who's not there, this is like, it looks like a funky old TV studio. And Bernd Rodiger is there, like almost lying down on this couch. And then the host is like about 3 foot above him. It looks kind of, wow, that was kind of like, it really gave a cool laid back impression.
I liked it. Yeah. I like the way this the host looks as well. He's kind of, to be honest, it looks.
But you see how much higher he is. You see, I watched a program like on this type of thing where, you know, like big high power bosses have their chair a bit higher and they look down. Like, I don't know, seems quite mad, but it's quite a cool interview. Like Bernd, if you've never been to Puerto Rico, it made me go, oh.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, Bernd's. Well, I mean, I won't, because the video goes for well, you know, 8 minutes, but he talks very highly of Puerto Rico, and in fact says it's. I think the words he used was it's a windsurfing paradise, and he's surprised how underrated it is. So yeah,
can you hear that noise in the background? It's right. The digger, I can hear it. Okay, if you guys can't hear it, that's fine. I was just going to make an excuse, but if you can't hear it, no problem.
Completely silent. Can't hear anything.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, see if you can find this Facebook page. If you're interested to hear, it's here. Tiempos, Tiempos. If you're listening on,
he looks pretty cool, doesn't he? Like if you had to have like someone, you know, is the face for cool windsurfing on a TV show. He has got like a pretty cool, like Rob Machado. You know, I don't know.
Honestly, he's the perfect ambassador for windsurfing, I reckon. Like it's just this kind of cool demeanor, the long hair. It's it's great to see him out there more. And obviously he's just such a good sailor as well.
The Jesus from the Big Lebowski.
No, it's awesome. So well done to Bernd for getting some airtime for windsurfing.
Hang on, Andre just putting something on here just before I missed this. Rodiger, we talked about the podcast, but use the seat harness. We were talking about harnesses earlier. Very interesting. I am looking for the first brand to sign him up as a signature Bernd Rodiger seat wave harness, because that is quite big, isn't it? He really is the only guy that I know in the new school sense that is using a seat harness. Could he in fact make it cool again?
What about a chest harness?
It's a tough. I think chest harness is easy to make cool again. I think a seat harness is much harder, but if anyone can do it, it's probably him.
Yeah. Especially with your junk poking out when you do up those leg straps.
Exactly. It's like the Wonder Pants or Wonder Bra, or the Wonder Pants from the equivalent.
So that was that one. Now, okay. So the next story. Sorry, just bear with me as I get myself organized here. This came up today, and I thought was very funny. Hold on a second. This is obviously done all live, so please bear with me. There we go. Is there anyone out there that likes the movie Back to the Future? Because I do. It's one of my favorite movies. This guy here, Alex Dugan, has created a board. It's a flicker board to look like the hoverboard from Back to the Future. And I love this because I love Back to the Future. I just think it's just the perfect movie. So that's the front of it.
And with the power of AI, he's obviously got the
oh yeah, that's right. I actually messaged, because he sent this to me on a message, and I thought, is this AI or is this real? He said, no, it's real.
The car ain't real, surely.
No. Oh, sorry, not the car in the background, but obviously the actual board itself. So well done to Alex for doing something a bit different. I think it's super cool.
Like it.
Yeah,
love it. Actually, love it.
Yeah, and it's actually like a hoverboard, because we all dreamed of having a hoverboard, but a windsurf board is like actually a hoverboard in a way, isn't it? It's just skipping across the water. So it's kind of, I love that. I think it's great. That has actually got us to.
Oh, he's gone. Where's Mr. Paul Van Bellen gone?
Sorry, mate, I pressed the wrong button there. So what we can do, that gets us through all the little news bits. Maybe we can just spend a few minutes going through some of the comments, because there is a few little things here.
I'm going to do a really blatant advert now
Oh yeah, you sell yourself.
Windsurfing TV app. There is a kind of shortcut to get an app. You can't go to the App Store. I just want to clear this up because a few people messaged me saying, Ben, I've been on the App Store. I can't find the app. Well, it's not officially in the App Store, but you can add it to look like an app. There is a video on the Windsurfing TV website. I know I'm totally blatantly stealing the bit here to do me a blatant plug. But if you go on windsurfing.tv, you will see there is a video to put it on as an app if you want to. And if you look on windsurfing.tv now, you will realize this podcast automatically just goes live. It's just there. It's just there. Exactly. It's like magic. So if you're on the website and one of the main channels goes live, it will just put the channel in the highlight video live. So, you know, it's definitely worth having a look at Windsurfing TV and to link your beer money in there. A lot of people asking me how to do that. It's all on the website. Anyway, there's my blatant plug. It's my advert.
Some questions. Jonathan Weston, bigger question. What is the biggest market, bump and jump? Actually, you would be better placed to answer this, Benny. What do you think is the biggest market in windsurfing? Is it?
I don't know if I'm better placed for this. This is the rumors I've heard. I remember someone speaking to Hot Sails Maui. I thought that was quite an interesting one, which gave me a little bit of an insight. And they were saying, and this kind of goes with everything, I heard winging had hurt the free ride market more than anything else. So that had been the sort of bigger negative. And, you know, listening to the guys in Hot Sails Maui and the other wave guys, the wave stuff hasn't been hurt as much because I think there are people who are doing a bit of winging in that lighter wind, maybe some free ride stuff and whatever. But when it gets windy, they've still got their wave gear. So that's what I heard. But I would imagine the free ride kind of other market was already bigger in the first place. So yes, it's probably dropped, but is it still bigger or less? I don't know. I think we've been pushing wave sailing for a long time. I don't feel we've pushed bump and jump as probably much as we have in the past. Because when we talked about this before, but when I was growing up, the kind of boards that I would dream of were not wave boards. They were almost like a Sputnik bump and jump 265. You know, like they were kind of like slalomy, they were bump and jump boards, basically. Fast, kind of playful boards, which I don't hear that terminology as much now. It's more wave boards. You hear wave boards, free ride boards, free move. It's very rare you hear bump and jump. I guess you hear free wave, but it's kind of lost that image of very fast kind of wavy slalom, wave rally type board, isn't it? It's interesting.
No, it's interesting that you say that because that was the thing, especially in the 90s. All those, I mean, I just have this vivid memory of the Neil Pride videos and the ads, and it was so much of it was bump and jumpy stuff, wasn't it? It was all just doing a thing. Like waves back in those days was almost seen as quite hardcore because I think the equipment wasn't it wasn't user friendly, was it? The wave gear, whereas now you can get very floaty boards and it's a lot more user friendly. So it's kind of like the bump,
Is that a good thing? You know, should we, as windsurfers, as ambassadors, as riders, as whatever, should we be pushing the wave rally style of thing, which is, you know, fast boards, jumping and jibing, you know, and less on moves and critical wave riding? It's an interesting one, that I think.
Yeah, I just think you just do whatever floats your boat. I don't want to. It's interesting that you mentioned, should we be going as faster? Like with wave rally, I have to be a little bit careful that people don't turn it into a slalom event, and all of a sudden they start turning up in super fast slalom boards, because that's not the idea. I want to keep it more, you know, like so it doesn't turn into an equipment race or something like that, because that's exactly what happened with windsurfing as timeline, didn't it? Started off with Windsurf One design boards and it went up like that, and then we had the problems with gear just going a bit too extreme. But I do think boards that get up on the plane easily and just easy to use. I mean, look, a lot of the gear now is just 1,000 times better than it was 20, 30 years ago, I reckon. Yeah. Like it's just, you know what I mean? It's really, I think we're at a good place in windsurfing when it comes to the equipment. The equipment's not really an issue. It's just.
I mean, there's a comment here saying, I've been told by brand manager at the Defi Wind that freeride is the biggest seller, which I can imagine for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's just took a bigger hit in recent times. Like it's probably still the biggest seller, but it's definitely took a bigger hit.
But what does bump and jump mean anyway? Like, what is that? Like,
I think it's free wave, what they call now free wave, which is blasting around. Again, you need the conditions. I think the biggest seller or the biggest discipline has to be the one that's got the most conditions on offer, because that's what kind of shapes it, isn't it? It's blast around and jumping. Everyone loves a bit of blast around and jumping. But now, I think, like you said, the wave equipment has been more accessible, wider boards, easier to stay, on the wave and keep speed. On the old days with the small sinkers and whatever, probably people get very frustrated. Whereas now with the newer equipment, it is much easier to do a bit of wave riding.
This is an interesting question. Hi, Ben and Paul. Thanks for the fun work. Have you ever met in person? Well, funnily enough, I think Ben has said that he's actually remembered this, but
I remember.
I've actually lost count of how many of these podcasts we've done now. If you had to take a guess of how many times we've done a podcast, or like something like, how many times do you think we've done now, Ben?
I really don't know. I'll be honest.
Well, it'd be over 100, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Like it's it's quite a lot. And I've actually only met Ben in person once.
A long time ago.
And it was in 2018 in Geraldton for these national, it was an event happening. Ben didn't know me from a bar of soap. I'd started my YouTube channel and I was in the car park. Do you actually remember we going up?
I do remember.
Oh, right. So I went up to him and I'm like,
I remember you had a big hat on, a red hat.
Oh, okay. And I go up to Ben, hey, Ben, I'm like a fan, And Ben's like, yeah, whatever, mate. Piss off. Everyone's coming up to Ben every 5 minutes. Oh, you're a legend, mate. You're a legend. Just another one. And,
shut up. It wasn't like that.
You know how they say never meet your heroes? So, that was... But the funny thing was Ben was, because he's busy, right? When he's at an event, he's always trying to get content and stuff. So I had a quick chat. Yeah, thanks, mate. Blah, blah. Then that was it. Didn't speak to him for the rest of the day. But then later on at the event, they went to a cafe in town where everyone in the event came. And actually, you might not remember this, Ben, but we were sitting at a table with 3 or 4 other people, and we're just chatting about something. And the topic was that North Sails, do you remember this? Like at the time, North Sails was having this big tumultuous thing because, that's right. What was it? The brand had gone from Boards and More and had been, remember that? It was that time. Yeah. And I remember you saying, I still have it in my mind. I remember you saying, "Oh, North Sails they're gonna like ramp it up. Like there's gonna be like they've got so much money behind them. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens." So, and obviously they did actually come out with quite a lot of innovative products. But I remember that specifically. But anyway, that's the story. That's the only time I've actually met Ben in person, and I like it this way. It's great that we're on other sides of the world. I think it works perfectly well. We're like
the new age pen pals.
It's a very long distance relationship. Is that how it works?
Classic.
So anyway, good question. Thanks for that, James. But hopefully we'll catch up somewhere, Benny, somewhere, mate.
Wave Rally,
right.
2027.
Oh, mate, I keep telling him, come over, Benny, but he's always got excuses.
I've had 2 kids. If I showed you at the door at the moment, I can hear like the guy, we've got a digger in, because I'm trying to create an area so our kids can go play, because there's just death traps everywhere. So I'm trying to actually get him to scrape us a flat area, and I'm going to try and grow some grass. Not the naughty grass, but the playing field grass. So we're going to see how that's going to work out. I'll have to give a tour of the Saga Surf Ranch at some point.
Again, to try and get some more business. Benoit, can anyone under 30 afford a brand new board anyway? Well, that is. I mean, obviously that is one of the stumbling blocks with windsurfing gear when you're buying new. You do need a bit of disposable income for sure. But there's plenty of good secondhand gear if you're willing to dig. I mean, God, buy anything in the last 10, 15 years, and it's generally, there's a lot of good stuff out there. This is interesting. RC just bought a new waist harness, the gun relay, for 107 euros. That's cool. So if you're looking for a budget option, gun sales. K74 honestly would love to know the true cost of a factory production board with none of the ass. I'm going to take this. Is an interesting question. You may know the exact answer to this, Benny, but I don't actually know the exact answer, but I'm going to take a stab at it and say that it probably, if I have to take a guess, it's probably cost somewhere around. I'm going to take a guess here and say somewhere around 600 to 1,000. So say 6, 7, 8, 900 US dollars a board or something. But I could be completely off. But if I had to take a stab at it, but yeah, Benny might know. He might not want to tell.
I will say it's quite interesting because in surfing world, a guy has kind of gone very I don't know if the word viral. I don't like using that word, but by basically explaining about Firewire and how it's Firewire is kind of a production, a surfboard production board basically, and how it's absolutely killed all the local shapers and how much they produce boards for, and it all went a bit crazy on one of like the famous podcasts, which is Pinch My Soul, and that was kind of interesting because then you read the aftermath of this, and these guys are like, look, we're just the podcasters, which is a bit like us. We're just the podcast. I'm just putting the news on. This guy's spouting all the stuff, and they're sitting there going, ooh, oh. And then the next episode, he's talking about where he was sponsored by Firewire and this happened, and then he knows the Firewire guy, so they messaged him and said, look, you're giving him shit. Why don't you come on and give your side of the story? If you've got like answers or receipts to what he's saying, don't give a shit. Come on and explain your side of it. And he said, and he was kind of like, oh, it's not worth it. And then you kind of think, why is it not worth it? If you really have got like the receipts to combat it, why not just come on and explain it? Anyway, I thought it was quite interesting that they declined coming on and saying it, because then you're thinking, well, what this guy got clipped up with and it went kind of viral and all the numbers and the stuff, you're kind of thinking, well, he must have some sort of good points in there. Otherwise you would just come on and say, look, we're going to take you to court. We're going to, you're totally giving us a bad rap here, and it's not true. So this is difficult. But what you do have to remember is, the base price of a board is never the base price, because there is marketing, there is paying, there's lots of riders,
distribution,
everything,
taxes,
and sometimes duties. You've lost money in the previous whatever times, and then you need to make it back on certain things, and then certain products don't take off, you lose money. So you have to have margin. If anyone's ever owned a business or sold a product or try and produce something, you realize certain times you've got to make money, and other times you're going to lose money. So it isn't as simple as the base price. I think it's interesting to know what the base price is. I think that's always interesting. But if you just look at a normal custom board in Europe and how much it would cost to produce it and the man hours it actually takes, if you watch that duotone video or the Cobra video from Goya or Quatro, it's really interesting of how long and how laborious it is to make a board. There is so much that is it's not just coming out of a machine printed on a 3D printer or something. There is so many stages and actual hours needed. Still, it's really old school. Like, I had a shock of how kind of custom the boards are. And I know there was a period, I can't remember the exact years, but I think it was when the Mistrals were getting pressed out of the, again, I'm not the guy to ask about this type of stuff, but I did hear that, a time where they were pumping out, I don't know how many 1,000 boards, you can then have this different mold, but you have to have the numbers to make it worthwhile. Again, someone who's got more knowledge than me can explain, but it's two halves and they've pressed together. If you remember the old Mistrals and maybe Bics, they had like a seam around them. There was something about that which I listened to, and those boards could be made very cheaply because you're doing serious numbers and the way it goes together. But again, that's not my specialty. I don't really know much about all that sort of stuff. But it was quite interesting anyway. I think now, because the small numbers we're doing, the boards are very much like almost customs.
Yeah. There's another question here, Oscar. Any rumors about RRD? Not many team riders, John Sky leaving. And then there's a follow-up comment from Andre. It seems that RRD is selling the business. So if the margin is maximized, you can aim for a higher bid. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Do you?
I don't know anything. I do. I know what we're seeing, and we're not seeing those guys signing many new riders. We're seeing riders leaving. We're seeing, John Sky leaving. So obviously it's going to ask questions. You people are going to ask questions. Is the business for sale? I'd be shocked if it is. RRD is Roberto Ricci. I know he has got different divisions of the business. The clothing side is different to the other sides, but maybe he is. He's not getting any younger. But that's not one for me to answer, because I really don't have any inside information or details on it. And maybe guys listening to this have way more insight than me.
Yeah. I was trying to bring it up on Instagram, but it's not quite working. A question, please talk about the flight sales integration with Ezzy Sails. So you may have heard, this was a while ago, maybe a month or more ago, but it was announced that Flight Sails, which I'm not that familiar with because they're in the Canary Islands from my understanding.
So it's a Tenerife sail brand, from Tenerife. That's the Flight Sails.
Okay. Yeah. And they've essentially joined forces or morphed in with Ezzy Sails.
So again, I'm maybe not the best guy to ask here, but as far as I understand it, Flight Sails from Tenerife were made in the same factory as Ezzy. As far as I understand it, again, correct me in the comments if I'm totally off with this, but this is what someone told me. So then, I guess to do with the numbers and whatever, they have kind of joined forces. So that Flight Sail now has got the Ezzy branding on it, but it is still the same or very similar to the Flight Sail. So anyone who's ever been on Ezzy will know they have a certain type of feel. There's a certain design. They're very unique in that sense, in terms of, there's a lot of sails are very similar. Ezzy is quite a unique sail brand like that. And then the Flight Sail is kind of a more normal sail, for want of a better word, and that now has then moved into the Ezzy range. And I think, what's it called now? It's called
Zorro.
Yeah, it's still called the same name. Okay, so it's still got the same name it was when it was on Flight Sails, but it's got the Ezzy logo in. And again, I'm not sure on the business side behind it. I just know the Zorro is now an Ezzy branded sail rather than a Flight branded sail. But as far as I understood it, they were in the same factory anyway. So then to join forces obviously made sense.
Yeah. Okay.
The question is, what's Graham Ezzy riding? Is he riding one of his dad's sails, which is typical Ezzy, or is he riding the Zorro? I actually don't know that. I didn't look at any of the videos and stuff.
Question here is addressing it to both of us. Any news of you guys going to the Defi? I don't have plans to go this year, as much as I'd love to, but being here in Australia, it's a bit of a trip for me. I assume you're going, Benny? Or
well, I'll be perfectly honest, and I'm always telling everyone what I'm doing. Usually we get a bit of help from the Defi Wind guys. So usually they put us up they get us a little place to stay, and they give us a bit of money to get ourselves there. This year I said, are we on for the same deal? And they were like, no. I was like, oh, okay. I said, okay. They said the numbers weren't looking so good, so they have to be very careful. I thought, oh, Okay. So I think we're still going, obviously, because it is a big event. We want to support it. And obviously, there's a lot of you guys who are watching this going to be there. We're covering it. But it is interesting. So are they seeing less numbers? I mean, it'd be interesting if any of you guys out there have usually gone to Defi Wind and not going this year. Is there, you know, is that, are we going to see less windsurfers at Defi Wind? I can't believe it. Such a big event. So yeah, I need to plan that with Alfie. We're just talking about it now. What is the plan? There is at the same time as the Defi Wind, the German, Furman, is it Furman Festival? And I did think that we could maybe go there one year instead of the Defi. I haven't really looked into that, but yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, I've done a lot of Defis in the past, and the problem was we haven't had much wind. And has that put people off going to the Defi? You know, like, because you would imagine that after this many years of not much wind, we're due, you know, because there has been wind. It's like such a windy time of year. So we've pretty interesting to see.
I think this often is talked about in windsurfing. The cost is so expensive. I don't know. Paul's made a comment here. Brand new jet skis cost $12,000. I'm assuming that's US dollars because there's certainly more here. And there are more jet skis than windsurfers. You spend 30 minutes on a jet ski, you find it quite boring. I think the cost thing of windsurfing, yes, we'd all love it if you could buy gear for $100. That would be great. But if you're really in, I've thought about this a little bit, but if you're really into something, right, you'll make it happen. You know, whether it's buying new or secondhand. I mean, to give you an example, I look at cycling, right? I'm sure in lots of parts of the world it's quite popular, but there are so many people here. I see groups of guys or women, for that matter, on a Sunday morning early, and there'll be 50 of them, and they're all on bikes that are $5,000 to $10,000. Like, you know what I mean? Like they spend the money on it. So I kind of feel like, yes, we'd all like gear to be cheaper, but if you're really into it, you just make it work somehow. You know what I mean? Like
I think so. Again, yeah, and there's different levels you can come at in windsurf. You don't, if you look at buying brand new gear straight off the shelf, you've got to remember of course. Someone has to buy the secondhand gear. You know, to keep that whole market turning. Everyone can't buy new gear. You need other guys at different levels buying the used gear, buying the older gear. And there is so much good gear out there because the designs have been good for a fair few years now. So you can find some absolute bargains out there. Some of the new gear is looking fantastic. So the guys who've got the money, they've got like the energy, maybe they're a bit older, maybe more disposable income, they can go and throw it down on some big gear. But that means there's probably more bargains out there to find. And you've just got to find, I really enjoy finding little bits of stuff. I have, like I said, toyed with the idea of going and finding some old gear and testing it out. And I think there's some real fun in that. It's like some people like to go to secondhand clothes shops and try and find some bargains. Some people love to do that with windsurfing gear too. The only problem you have is, you know, in terms of warranty and all that sort of stuff on the secondhand gear, you don't have it. So sometimes it can be worth having the new stuff because then you've got this kind of guaranteed kind of stuff as far as I'm aware. But yeah, I think it's interesting. Yeah. And again, you can have lots of different stuff. You can maybe spend the money on the stuff that you're really keen on, maybe your waveboard, maybe your sails or whatever it might be. And then you might want to like a freestyle board and you just pick up some old like shitter, which is like 10 years old, 15 years old and still floats, and it can be fun. And you know, you buy it for $100 or something, you know, like it can happen, you know.
Yeah. I think the trickiest part is that when someone's starting, they don't know what to get, because I had a few people that I taught and then they were starting to think about buying gear and they send me links for something they find on, say, Facebook Marketplace. And I go, what do you think about this? And it's just this heap of junk, you know, or whatever. And you're like, oh shit, no, don't buy that. That's, you know, so you need the knowledge to know what to buy. I think that is the trickiest part. But yeah, I look at so many sports, you know, like in Australia, motocross, you know, like guys, like kids buying bloody motocross bikes, they're like $15,000 bikes. And
you got to put fuel in them.
There's fuel and like you got to bloody, you know, service them. And so I sort of feel like with windsurfing, I can't think of too many sports actually that gives you that amount of kind of adrenaline and excitement for the bang for buck. You know, it's yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sitting here. Obviously, I've got a new board sitting behind me. I'm not saying that this is a super big thing, but when people say to me, "Oh, it's super expensive and stuff," I'm like, compared to what though? Like,
because that is relative.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, it's think about a sport that gives you a lot of adrenaline.
Well, I've got an interesting one. I've been sent some stuff from some of the guys in the gorge for the Shred Until It's Dead feature and Send It Sunday this Sunday. And, you know, there's a guy there on something like a 30-year-old sail, and he is absolutely sending it, you know, like, and you think, yeah, okay, it doesn't have to be that old, but it just goes to show that, you know, there is gear out there which might not be the newest, shiniest stuff, but it'll still do a job. So you kind of got to put that ego away, and then there's something cool. Again, it goes to the secondhand clothing bit where it almost gets cool to be in retro type gear within reason. But again, like, we need buyers on all those different points of sale to make the whole loop make sense. So I think, yeah, I think especially if you're a windsurfer just into wave sailing, I think it's really interesting to go and buy some other kind of different discipline stuff, you know, slalom or something, and mix it up with some older, funner gear. And then, like I said, then the wave rally comes back into my mind, and that kind of, you know, weekend kind of racing around Boy. I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we've got to get you over here, Benny. Bruno is just saying here about flight sails. Ben, you're right. Ezzy has integrated, bought flight sails, and they kept the designer for the Zorro and the development in Tenerife.
Okay, that's interesting. That's a good bit of news there.
Yep. So what else is here? Here we go. Monkey saying he pays around £200 each for his Simmer black tips. Love them. There you go. There's a good one. What do we got? Ocean Sailor says just don't go to the dentist. Save your money that way and spend it on windsurf gear. Yeah, actually, this is a good point too. Obviously, windsurfing is also a motorsport because the fuel prices, obviously, all around the world, fuel prices going up, so we have to drive to the beach. So I just seen
220. I just saw 220 on diesel. 220.
220 euros, is it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's actually about this. Dude, it's about the same here, and I mean, like, it's like $3.20, $3.30 Australian, which is probably about the same. So, yeah, it's a bit of a problem. Anyway, Benny, I think we got to the end, mate. We did it. Our first newsy kind of podcast. I think that actually went better than even expected.
Let us know. Let us know what you think of the new format. Let's say format.
Well, it's just one format, right? We're still going to do other things. Yeah. This is just maybe once every week or two. If you guys see anything, please share it on this WhatsApp group, this Windsurfing TV podcast WhatsApp group, or you can send a message to Ben or myself if you see something like a new product from a brand or something interesting.
Put it on the group.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm going to get smashed.
You get bombarded. Yeah, fair enough. But that would be good. And we'll just pick the best things and we'll just do this, I guess. Cool.
There's a bit of love coming in for the new format, just so we end on a high. A bit of love coming in.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, because there's so many times where we see things, isn't it? And we just let it fly by. So at least we can document it a bit. Okay, guys, thanks so much. We will see you in the next episode.
It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax. We got the brain of Ben. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. The Cubs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be